Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Makaylee, also known as Macmoto. I'm going to be showing you guys how to create a neutral look with a red lip. Okay, so now that my skin is prepped, my brows are done, we're going to go ahead and jump right into the makeup routine. Now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using two different face primers, and you guys will see why. So right now I'm having some blemishes, some pore issues at the moment. What I'm going to be using is the Mattifying H2O Gel Primer. This one is really, really great because this one gives me a really nice base. I can instantly see the difference that it creates on my skin right when I do it in this area. If you guys could see my hand, you could see that it's instantly mattified, which I love. That's why I love this primer so much. Now that we have that on, I am going to transition into an illuminating primer. So one of my favorites is the Light Source 3-in-1 Illuminating Primer from Lorac. This one is really, really beautiful. Less is more. And I applied this one straight on in a patting motion. This one is going to go here, and I am going to press it into the outer parts of my face. Just like that. So again, we don't want to go over the areas that we just mattified, so making sure you're kind of just staying in the outer corner and just pressing it into the skin. So I'm going to be using this on my little plate. And it is a little bit thicker. It is a fuller coverage foundation. So that is why I'm gonna be sharing it out with the Smashbox Studio Skin. So we're gonna do probably double of this foundation, maybe a little bit more. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little brush from here and I'm gonna start by mixing it. So I'm just gonna create my little concoction, and usually I can eyeball my foundation shade and then I can work with it when I apply my concealer. So it'll be pretty easy. So I'm gonna start by painting my skin, checking the color to make sure it's correct, looks about right. And then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. This looks really good. So again, what I like to do is I like to paint on the foundation and then blend it out. Reason being is sometimes you can apply too much and then you're sitting there trying to blend for forever, and that's how you get that really, really full coverage cakiness that is just not the business. So just working with what you have and then really taking it up underneath the eye. As long as you're only building your layers of foundation where you need the coverage, your skin is gonna look really, really flawless, instead of just caking your face in full coverage all over. Does that make sense? Perfect. So this is actually a Bare Minerals brush. I use this all the time for my eyebrows. This is Max Coverage Concealer Brush, and I'm gonna take what's left on here and I'm going to carve out my brow. So with this, it's going to create a very smooth, sculpted brow. If you had any mess ups, it's just gonna erase it, which is really nice. And it makes it easy. And that way you don't have like this super thick concealer just bunched up underneath your brow. Because sometimes, let's be real, it happens. But at the same time, if you're going out during the day, your skin has gotta look beautiful and, you know, hydrated and blended. And so the best way to do it is creating and sculpting your brow with your foundation, or even like a tinted moisturizer, because that's even thinner. And then just really just bringing it around and helping to create the shape that you want. We're gonna be using the Lorac Behind the Scenes Eye Primer. We're just gonna brush it on here, blend it into the brush. I thought this was the mirror. I am going to be using the same brush that I use to apply the concealer, so that it is slightly tinted still, and it's actually gonna smooth out and even my lid, which is gonna be really, really nice, because then we don't have to add a lid color of white or sheer or anything, honestly, at all. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna let that sit for just a moment. I am going to move on to, where should we move on to? I've never used just the matte concealer, so we shall see if I like it. For an everyday, I think it looks pretty freaking nice. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our setting powder. This one is an absolute favorite of mine, and I'm just gonna be using this throughout my face. starting in specific areas. So what I did was I put my hand in my little palette of powder, looked up, my brush is ready to go, and I'm looking up now, and then I'm gonna press it in. It'll take some getting used to, but it's really quick, it's very easy, and that way it's gonna help to prevent any creasing. Obviously, if you have more lines, it's not gonna completely prevent creasing, but it is going to help and to keep it smooth. I wouldn't suggest a mattifying powder for underneath the eye, kind of like I am doing today. I would say to do something more so like something crystallized or something that's a little bit illuminated, but not too illuminated, because if you do that, then it's gonna enhance any lines. So I like to do like an RCMA powder under the eye. I like to do the NARS translucent powder. I like the Cover FX setting powder, the original. Those are all really great for under the eye because those ones are a very thin powder that doesn't look too crazy. Don't go in with a full coverage powder foundation to set underneath the eye if you have more lines. So now that that's all set with my small brush, I'm gonna go back to my sponge. And because I do like a matte finish foundation, I am going to start in the areas that I originally primed that were matte. You don't have to use a powder if you don't like to, but if you want to keep specific areas, there's a dog. If you want to keep specific areas hydrated and illuminated looking, then you're not going to set with your powder there. If you do have a long day ahead, I highly recommend setting all over because that is going to keep your makeup on all day. Okay, so now that our face is set, we're going to get our contouring situated, bronzing, and kind of get in there. I'm gonna be using the Too Faced powder in Dark Chocolate Soleil and the Too Faced powder in Sand. That one is an actual foundation powder, so I'll show you guys how to use that in just a second. Don't worry about the harshness of this at the moment because we're gonna go in with powder and we're going to blend it. So again, using the top of your ear as an anchor, gearing towards your mouth, not going all the way, and then again, soft strokes, because we're creating an illusion where we're lifting the cheekbones. So we're really just like slimming down the face and lifting up the cheeks. You don't want to take your bronzer too high. And you don't want to use a brush that's too big either, because that's when it starts to look like you got punched in the cheek. So there's that. And then I always do this weird thing where I can see the lines in my face, and it really helps me to determine if my contours are symmetrical. I'm doing this like rounding around my temple that's blending out any excess, and also, again, slimming down the sides of my face. I'm not using a ton of bronzer because we don't want our temples of our head to be super bronzed. We just want what's left to kind of diffuse itself into the upper part of our forehead to something a little bit bigger, still dense, but a little bit bigger. And then we can use this to shape our forehead. Again, we're not finished with any of this, so this all needs to be blended out. So don't you worry. It is a process, but it will be beautiful. Now we're gonna jump into the nose. Start here. Again, if you notice my pressure, it is very light. And we're gonna follow from the sides of my nose and connecting it right into my crease. The crease doesn't have to be very dark. You can do even less pressure on your crease, and it already looks like it's connected, see? And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring it down and then go straight down like that. See that? Again, we're connecting it all the way down. And if you're looking to create a button nose, then we're gonna do a little horseshoe. Underneath, and then a little bit more right there. Nothing too crazy because then it will look dirty, which we don't want to do. I'm gonna use this brush to blend it out. So I'm keeping the product in the same spot, but I'm using a fluffier brush to diffuse that line so that it looks softer. Pretty. See how it's already looking diffused? You just gotta focus on keeping your brush in the same spot. By now your primer should be ready to grab on to your powders. And then once that's in your crease, windshield wiper motions. And this is just creating a nice defined eye. Okay, so we're gonna take a pause for a moment. Dip it into my translucent powder, just like this. See how it's on there? And I'm going to take it right here to accentuate the highlight. I'm also gonna place it here and here. I'm gonna switch up my bronzer and head into my colored powder. So this is a colored powder foundation. This one is from Too Faced. And I'm gonna go back to that dense brush that I was using and I'm just gonna press it into here. And I'm just gonna go slightly above the areas that I contoured, but close enough to where they still blend together. Because we don't want harsh lines coming from my brightness under my eye to my contour. We want there to be a smooth transition throughout. I'm going to start where the lines were and just start blending and then kind of blend down as well as here, and then go straight into the highlighted on the top and just kind of buff it out. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into my blush. So the blush that I have is Gingerly. So I recently purchased this one and I am obsessed with it. It's so, so pretty. It's kind of like a neutrally blush, but also it's a little bit mauve. It's kind of just like right in the middle to give you that like, oh, you have blush on, but it's not like crazy. I like it on my complexion because it gives me just that like natural looking flush. Oh, this brush is clean. It's so hard. And so I'm gonna start by doing the smize like this, and I'm gonna start right on the apple. Remember where we first started when we had the mattifying primer? The reason why I mattified it was because I really wanted to create a really beautiful flush cheek, and to create that you really have to work from the very, very bottom, working it above where my bronzer was so that I'm really bringing that blush up towards my temples to really give me that beautifully flushed cheek. If you are not a bronzer wearer, this is gonna be for you. This is gonna be something that's really gonna create that contoured face if you don't like bronzer. I feel like during the summer, this is like the best thing to do because see that? It just really brought color into my entire face. And this is more of like a matte blush, which I am all about because you don't have a ton of shine everywhere. We're gonna be using the bronzer again, and we're just gonna do windshield wiper motions back and forth until we've reached the desired amount on our crease or lid. What's happening is when your eyelid is down, the skin on your lid tightens up a little bit, so it kind of flexes, and it actually makes it very easy to blend shadow versus if you're looking up and you're trying to blend it, it's very hard. So I'm kind of doing like a dip down where I'm getting into the bottom of my eye and then going back up. It'll become a routine once you do it more often, and then you can do it when you're literally like walking around your house, which is very, very easy. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a smaller brush, typically like a bullet size brush, just like this, and I'm gonna drag this underneath Just really, really softly and gently, and making sure it's connecting. So connecting it from the outer color that we have here, just making sure that there's no gap, because we want it to be really wrapped around the eye. Nice and effortlessly. Again, if you have to go in because it makes you feel more comfortable, you can totally do that. Just making sure you're buffing out any harshness, because this whole look is just like that really neutral, effortless makeup with a really bold lip. Okay, so we are at my most favorite part of my makeup routine. I love applying eyelashes because they literally just make the whole makeup look come together. With my Charlotte Tilbury mascara, I'm gonna do just a thin coat on the lashes to get them ready for my lashes. And see how easy that one was? And what I'm doing is I'm placing it as close as I can to my real lashes, so they kind of just like hold hands. Makes it very, very easy to apply 2 pairs. Feels good. Again, I'm gonna start lifting. When you're doing that, it's creating more of an openness for your eye. Okay, and now for the final thing that we're gonna do for our lashes is we're going to push down the skin over our band so it camouflages the band a little bit more. So again, you're kind of just pushing any skin down. This is great for people who have more skin on their eye too, because it's gonna help to give you a tighter lid. Now what we will do is we will move on to highlight and setting. So I'm gonna be using my mattifying continuous setting mist from Morphe. And this one's really nice because this one is gonna give me that mattification that I'm looking for. So I'm just gonna spray. Oh, it smells so good. I love it. Ooh, I brought Skin Finish Luminescence from Revolution Pro. So I'm gonna do right here. And then I'm gonna use my finger to just soften it so it's not harsh. And oh my God, I haven't used this in forever. And then I'm gonna take it to the bridge, almost all the way to the end, but leaving a little space in between. Perfect, just so that it creates that nice little bridge. I'm gonna go to my little bronzing brush and kind of just grab a little bit of bronzer to create that little bridge. So I have a little button nose. Even though we all know that I don't have a button nose. But now it looks like it, huh? Now I'm gonna flip over this brush and use the fluffier side. And I am still using this highlight, and I'm going to take it just right here. We want to stay away from any fine lines, so we're not accentuating any fine lines, but we also want to keep it right on the cheekbone. If you have acne here, I don't recommend it because it's just going to highlight your acne. And we're just going, that's why I was saying I was so mad that I had breakouts there, because I just, you know, I'm always highlighting like here. So I'm kind of, again, really soft motions on the skin, and I am just going in small little circles on the tops of my cheeks. I'm gonna go right above my arch and bring it up towards the top of my forehead to highlight, to really bring that arch upwards. We're gonna put on the lip. This is literally my favorite part of my entire look, especially when doing this one. And we're gonna be using, are you ready? We're gonna be using Quite the Standout, which is a MAC liquid lipstick. This one has become my new favorite red. It is a little bit orangey, but I'm obsessed with it. Making sure that anytime you're doing a liquid lip that you exfoliate your lips first, hydrate, and then do your lipstick. Oh, look at that. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a little heart. I am going to exaggerate. Sorry, I didn't have myself in frame. I'm going to exaggerate the heart because I want my lips to look a little bit higher. What we're gonna do is we're gonna connect the outer corner of the bottom and go up, and we're gonna go in like a clock motion. So not really moving your fingers, but you're moving your wrist. So like this, okay? Oh my God, I love it, I love it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative for you and you want to see my next one. Stay tuned. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.